Crimson Trace's laser saddle is a feature-packed laser sighting solution for Mossberg 500, 590, and 590 Shockwave 12-gauge shotguns. Available as a red or green laser. Buy it now at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, it's the return of Bob Lee Swagger, an instant gear bonus with new Springfield Armory purchases, preserving the Second Amendment, and more. And as always, call us at 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, and range reports. And now, here's Tom.
Well, welcome to Gun Talk. Glad that you could be with us. I'm Tom Gresham, and we're going to be talking about, well, a lot of things today. We had a lot of things on my mind, a lot of things to talk about. We have guests lined up. We have plans. But, of course, now we have certain other things we have to talk about. By the way, if you'd like to join us, it's very easy. Just call us, 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun will get you in. Obviously talking about the events of the last 24 hours. We have shootings in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso. And of course, predictably, the gun ban clan is clamoring for, what else? Gun bans. Same as always, culture wars. You know, the goal should not be to do something. They always say, we have to do something. Actually, the goal should be to do something that works. We've tried every form of gun control law in the U.S. According to the Centers for Disease Control, not me, not the NRA. According to the Centers for Disease Control, they studied this. They said they could not find any evidence of a gun control law that had reduced crime. Oh, that would be like the first thing the media hasn't told you in the last 24 hours. That according to the CDC, gun control laws do not reduce crime. What else in the last 24 hours? Well, in the last 24 hours, 110 million Americans who own 350 plus million guns did not shoot anyone. 110 roughly million people owning 3 to 4 million guns, 3 or 400 million guns, didn't shoot anyone in the last 24 hours. You know what else happened in the last 24 hours that they're not talking about? 6,000 Americans used guns to defend themselves. That's just an average. On average, it happens 6,000 times a day. According to numerous university-level studies over the last 20 years, and according to data compiled by the Centers for Disease Control. Yeah, the CDC. 6,000 times a day, Americans use guns to stop crime, to protect themselves in self-defense. Nobody's talking about that, of course. We got two guys who shot a bunch of people, a lot of people. It's horrible. And the grief and horror ripples through the communities, and it is just terrible. It is hard to put yourself in that place of being family members and loved ones and friends of the people who were shot. And yet, it is distressing to see, actually universally, 100% of the Democratic candidates all saying, we must then do something. We must restrict people who didn't commit these crimes. They call for things that clearly would have had nothing to do with this. They said, well, you're going to have to be 21 years old to buy a semi-automatic rifle. Yeah, the guy was already 21 or 25. Not a factor. You have to do a background check. Did. Not a factor. On and on and on, all the things. And then they finally said, well, we just have to get rid of those guns. Really? Really? Then we have Nice, France, where a guy in a truck kills 84 people, murders them by running over them with a truck. The methodology is really not the thing. So what do we pull from this? I mean, obviously you get into the whole us versus them, gun control, this, all the rest of it. They want to call for more controls, more restrictions, more bans. Kamala Harris says she is willing to send police to go door to door, knock on doors. We're going to build a list, and we're going to send the police to your door, bang on the door, take your guns away. She's ready. She says, I've already done that in California. I'm ready to do that nationally. I'm not making this stuff up, people. I've been telling you this for years. So what can you pull from this individually? Because let's pull something, try to make something positive out of this. Ramp up your awareness. Ramp up your preparedness. Let's talk about that for a second. Guy in Walmart. Okay, there's both on Fox and CNN, they interviewed a fellow who was one or two stores away, concealed carry guy. It was interesting. A couple of things he said. One is that he didn't take his gun and go rush in to try to solve the problem. What he did was he gathered up a bunch of kids who were there and got them out of there. Restraint. Didn't think the gun was the answer because he wasn't right there in the middle of it. Shows a lot of sense. But the other thing that happened there that was interesting, he said a young kid ran into the store and said, there's an active shooter. He said nobody believed him. Nobody paid any attention to this youngster because it was a youngster. We tend to live in condition white. You know, the color codes from Colonel Jeff Cooper. If you go around in condition white, you're really good chance you will respond poorly, if at all. There's a good chance you'll end up dying. You won't be able to protect yourself or your loved ones. You have to get out of that. And it's not easy. You have to make yourself all the time go, am I alert? Am I aware? Am I paying attention? Do I know where the exits are? Have I talked to my family about what are we going to do if the unthinkable happens here? If they're separate from me in a mall, where are we all going to go? Do they know not to go out into the hallway in the mall, but to blow right through the back of the store to the very back of the store and go through the doors that open in the back of the store? And, that whole run, hide, fight, forget it. Cross out the hide. No. Run. Run, 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 run. Keep running. Keep moving. Keep going. Don't hide. Don't hunker. Move. Keep going. The hide thing is as out of favor these days. My friend Michael Bain wrote something about this, and rather than me, it's the exact same thing that I talk about, because he and I have been on the same page for 30 years on this. Let me just read you a few things that he did. Michael says, how many times do we have to say this? Number one, be armed all the time. This isn't a game played only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All the time. The universe doesn't care whether today is the day you decide to leave the gun at home so you could wear your comfy shorts. Number two, you are on your own. Police time was excellent. 6 minutes in El Paso, 1 minute in Dayton. The guy still killed 9 people. Wearing body armor. Yeah, let's talk about that. You prepared for that? Have you practiced your failure drills? If you don't know what a failure drill is, shame on you. 2 to the body, 1 to the head. If the first 2 shots to the body are not producing results, do something different.
This is Jeff with Black Hills Ammunition. Our Honey Badger line now features a new 40 Smith & Wesson caliber loading. Gelatin testing shows that this round outperforms conventional hollow points, not only in terms of velocity, penetration, and weight retention, but it also provides superior temporary cavities. The profile and solid copper construction assure flawless feeding. This is the latest technology in handgun performance. Black Hills Ammunition, the power of performance.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Designed to be the ultimate choice in concealed carry pistols, Kimber's striker-fired Evo SP features an innovative grip system that eliminates hardware on the grip surface, a magazine release for right or left-handed shooters, all-metal construction for reduced muzzle rise, and ledged night sights for single-hand manipulations. Kimber's Evo SP is the ideal choice for shooters that demand a feature-packed, compact-sized striker-fired firearm. Find your Kimber at www.kimberamerica.com.
All right, back with you. We were talking about some of these points that Michael Bain was making today. It's the exact same things that I've been talking about with you for a decade now. You are responsible for your safety. Nobody else is. No one else. And when it happens, it's going to happen really fast. In a matter of seconds, you need to respond. You can't be going, wonder what that is. He makes the point, he says, if it sounds like a gun, it is a gun. It's not fireworks. It's not a car backfiring. It's not someone dropping a big tin box. It's gunfire. Act accordingly. As he says, every single second you hesitate brings you and your family closer to death. Move, 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 move. When you start hearing it, go, is that really? I wonder if that... No, get your rear in gear. Move. The only way that you can make that happen is if you've done it 100 times in your head. If I hear something that sounds like gunfire, even if it's not, get moving. You can always come back and go, oh, well, but don't second guess yourself. If you end up running out of a restaurant and you come back and go, it was nothing, that's okay. Don't say, well, gee, I'll never do that again. No, what you say is, I'll do that every time, because that's okay. Where are your spouse and kids? If you're separated from them, do they know where to go? Carry emergency gear. What did I do yesterday when I started hearing this news? It reminded me. I got online, I ordered tourniquets and hemostatic gauze. And the people I know who are serious about this stuff, people I know who are serious about this stuff carry tourniquets and carry hemostatic gauze with them when they leave, on their body, in an ankle carry setup, somewhere. There's something they have to stop the bleeding, because that's really, you can save lives by stopping the bleeding, okay? This is serious stuff. And it's things that people don't want to talk about. You can depend on you. The police will come when they come. All right? It's just as simple as that. 866-TALK-GUN. We have a lot of things to talk about today, and I wanted to get that out of the way. These two lunatics, these two crazy people, do not define us. We are not them. And restricting us is not the way you deal with the crazies. But they're willing to, because frankly, they don't really care. They don't really care about the mass shooters. They care about the culture war. They care about restricting you and me. That's what's really going on here. Let's go talk to Bill. He's on line 5 out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hello, Bill.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well, sir. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I like your show, Tom. I've listened to you a long time, and I bought a Springfield XD9S here a while back,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the way it shoots. The only thing I'm not crazy about is it's got a really long trigger pull,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering, aside from, I don't believe it has an adjustment on it, but aside from having to replace the whole trigger, does anybody make a add-on pad for the trigger, like maybe Brownells or somebody, where I can kind of shorten that pull up?
Well, a pad's not going to shorten the trigger pull.
No, but I mean, it might make it where my finger doesn't have to pull it back so far before it hits the sweet spot.
Well, all it's going to do is just add surface area to the front of the trigger. If you're thinking about the same thing that I am, and the sweep, the movement of the trigger is going to be exactly the same. I'm not understanding how that's going to help.
Yeah, I understand that. I didn't know. I haven't really got online yet to see what's available.
Well, you know what I would do? I would do two things. I'd go check Brownells, because if anybody has it, they do it. But also there's a company called Apex Tactical, APEX, Apex Tactical, and they have aftermarket triggers. And if you really don't like the trigger pull on that Springfield, I would take a look at Apex and see if you can put one of those triggers in there.
Right. Well, as usual, you have good information. I didn't mention it, but I don't know if I have time, but I've got a comment on these shootings we've had.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. We got time. Do it.
You know, I'm an old guy. I'm 74 down here, and I've been around, and I've shot guns my whole life. And we all know that guns don't kill anybody. It's the people that handle the guns that kill people. Okay. And to me, a lot of these shooters are of an age where I'm wondering if they're not a product of the violent video games and social media, Tom.
Well, certainly they are. And, you know, those are the things that nobody wants to look at because that's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're not going to touch that whole thing, you know?
Well, I guess in closing, I would also tell you that I'm 100% behind you on your opinions on the leader of the NRA. Something's gone wrong there. I was a sponsor for ever and ever over the years with Ducks Unlimited. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the reasons why, other than just did it for so many years, when they wouldn't help get in the fight politically, that's when I quit being involved. Now, I was a member of NRA, but they will not get another dime of my money until we get an accountant.
Yeah, they need an independent audit. I would encourage people, do not drop your membership in the NRA. You need to stay in. You particularly need to be in as a voting member so we can vote in the right board members. Look, I appreciate the call, sir. We had this week more news on that front. 3 board members resigned from the NRA. So they got removed from the key committees, pushed to the side. They can't get information. They can't get any answers, so they resigned. I understand the frustration, but I'm not sure that's the right move. Because what you're going to do is you're going to leave and let Wayne LaPierre replace you with more of his folks. Yet, you know, ever the classy person that she has shown herself to be, former NRA President Marion Hammer told them, said, well, don't let the door hit you in the rear on the way out. Okay, thanks, Marion. But there it is. There will be a board meeting in Alaska. Hold on a second. I got a cough. Don't go anywhere. Okay, better. Sorry about that. In Alaska, let's see. Colonel West says that he's not going to go to that meeting, board member. It's a waste of time, waste of money. Again, I understand. I understand trying to send a message. I understand the sentiment. But I just wonder if that's the right move. I don't know. And for everybody who's saying, well, I'm not going to give them any money, that's fine, but tell them. And keep telling them, look, no more money till you clean house. And I will just tell you, I think that they need to get rid of all their leadership. It occurs to me the board of directors, I think a lot of them don't know they can do this. I think it's a 3/4 vote. I think 75% of the board members can vote to remove Wayne. Now, I think he controls probably more than enough to protect himself at this point. I am distressed at some of my friends on the board who are supporting him. And the more we find out, the more the onion gets peeled away. We find out that some of these folks are making pretty good money with speaking engagements, or in some cases, we don't even know what they're getting paid for. I don't know. Loyalty? I don't know. It's distressing. It's depressing. It's upsetting. And it's at a time when, as we're seeing today, we have calls for more gun control all the time. We don't need this. We need the obstructions, and that's you, Wayne. We need you to take your money and leave. It's time. If you were a CEO of a company, you would be expected to leave. If you were this big a problem, if you were causing your company this much of a problem, you would be expected to resign. You would probably be told to resign if you had a board of directors who was acting the way they're supposed to. We'll see. Pretty sure that some of the board members are meeting with the New York Attorney General's office. That's the dark horse out there. That's the one that you don't know what's going to happen with that. Because they could come in. They could do anything up to and including essentially dissolving the NRA. So we'll see what happens there. It's a mess. It's just an awful mess. And we need a strong NRA. Don't quit, but let them know if you're not giving them money. And if you're on the board, don't resign. Stay in there and fight. We need you in there. 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, we're going to talk about more legal action and what you need to know.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
All right, if you'd like to join me here, it's really easy. Just call in 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. That'll certainly get you in. We're pretty much open lines if there's something on your mind. You're watching the news right now. I bet you got a couple things on your mind. And if you know what, if you don't like guns, if you think we need more gun control laws, call me. I'll give you the floor. You can explain your position. Now, be prepared to defend it. But, we're not like a lot of shows. We're not going to shout you down. We're not going to cut you off. We're just going to have a discussion. Fair enough? Just give me a holler. Call me at Tom Talk Gun. That'll get you in here. Amy Swearer is Senior Legal Policy Analyst with the Heritage Foundation. She has been writing about guns and gun rights for a while there. She joins us right now. Amy, welcome to Gun Talk.
Tom, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I was looking at one of your pieces, recent pieces, why these defensive uses of firearms should disarm Second Amendment skeptics, and timing seems to be interesting and appropriate right now. As I mentioned earlier in the show that, yesterday 6,000 people on average used guns in self-defense in this country, and 110 million Americans yesterday did not shoot anyone. That seems to get no traction at all. What's your take on that?
I mean, you're absolutely right. So this article you're referring to is actually just one of a series of articles that we decided to do monthly. So we plan on doing one every month this year, highlighting some of those examples. Because as you mentioned, this happens hundreds of thousands. And in fact, most studies on this come in at about the 1 million times a year mark. That's, again, 1 million times a year that law-abiding Americans use firearms in defense of self or others. And so we wanted to give a context to that, to put a face and a name and sort of show people, these are not some, rare things where some Rambo goes out and tries to find, a crime to prevent. But these are just average law-abiding Americans doing their everyday thing, and they were able to be. They were able, just because of the fact that they were carrying a firearm, to come to their own defense or to the defense of others. And so, again, these were just several, we thought, very poignant examples, but of something that happens very regularly in this country.
Well, for example, you got Martinsville, Virginia. A man's filling his tank at a gas station, has to defend himself against two would-be robbers, and they had handguns. They were armed. You got a woman, in her home, defends her home and her children. She got her handgun. She shot a man who had a hammer. He was breaking into her home with a hammer. I mean, it goes on and on. You got all these specific examples of people who are just going about their lives, going about their business, not looking for trouble at all, and trouble just pops up because that's what it does. I mean, if you knew it were there, you would avoid it in the first place. So when it happens, it's always a surprise.
Right. And that's, I think, really one of the things that, especially the more that I've been looking into this and writing these articles, is, it turns out that people who are going to commit crimes don't really care if they're already prohibited from owning firearms. They don't really care that there are laws saying, you can't rob people, you can't murder people, you can't walk into a Walmart and shoot people because you're angry. So they don't really care about those things. And what they do is they go in and they find the most forceful things they can find to commit the most heinous crimes they can. And those people generally are not stopped until somebody, whether it's another law-abiding citizen, whether it's law enforcement, shows up and matches their force with force and says, no, we're not going to let you do this. And so, again, in all of these examples, I think so many times it gets lost when we have, incidences where people are not in a position to fight back with force. But there are so many of these examples where just law-abiding citizens living their lives were able to step up and defend themselves or others. And again, this happens so often. We're talking most studies, again, finding around 1 million times a year.
Why is it that the media doesn't believe? It's not even that they don't report it. I mean, you have to dig around for the local stories for this. But in terms of the overall story of people use guns in self-defense 1 million times a year, the media, not only do they not report it, they actually don't believe it's true. Any idea why that is?
Well, I think part of it is you'd be shocked how many people have not heard of these statistics. And again, this isn't just one or two studies. This is dozens of studies over the course of decades that are repeatedly finding this. And I think part of that is it doesn't fit the narrative, right? So we live in a day and an age where the media is focused on, what's the thing that's going to get the most clicks. And that tends to be incidences where people, unfortunately, were not in a position to defend themselves. And you have high numbers of casualties and, it plays out on this news cycle. And so when people do defend themselves and prevent horrific crimes from occurring, it doesn't have that sort of drawing factor that the media is often looking for. So, I mean, you're right. Very, very rarely when we're looking through these stories do we find them in national headlines. A lot of times we're lucky if we find them sort of local or regional headlines. But it really has to do with, when the crime isn't committed, it doesn't have the focus that the media wants.
And that's it. And even more so when, as it happens like 98, 99% of the time, the good guy doesn't have to shoot the bad guy, pulls the gun out and bad guy runs away. It's like, okay, well, that's actually not a story to them, but it sure was a story to that woman who got that guy to turn around and run. Exactly.
It's one of those things where in terms of broad headlines, it may be nothing, but for that individual in that moment, it is literally the difference between life or death. It is a major defining moment in their life. The same as in many people's lives where they don't have that ability to defend themselves, that becomes a major defining moment. And so it's really just this disconnect between what headlines are looking for and what actually matters in the lives of an individual.
And in a broader spectrum, it makes it impossible to get clear-headed thinking about public policy when what the public, with big air quotes around it, knows to be true is completely false. I mean, case in point, the Pew study that most people think that crime is increasing, murders are up, when in fact over the last 20 years, murders are down by half. Crime with guns is down 70%. gun crime is down 70%, and that's not my figures or NRA's figures. That's FBI numbers, and yet the general public thinks that crime and murder are up. So how do you have a basis for sound public policy when the public is so badly misinformed?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of times you don't, which is why you see so many bad, hot takes in the midst of, right on the heels of tragedies like we saw happen this weekend, where you have people just purporting, pushing all of these policies that when you actually look at them and you have the entire context of the statistics of crime and guns and the relationship, you look at them and you go, why would you push this? Why do you think this is good policy? And I'll give you an example. So Senator Schumer just today was on the heels of some of the stuff that happened this weekend, like, well, this is why we needed universal background checks passed in the Senate, and we need to call a special session to pass universal background checks. Well, when you actually look at universal background checks and you apply them to any of the situations that have happened recently, you look at that and you say, universal background checks would not have stopped a single one of these shooters from obtaining firearms. They simply would have passed a background check if they even decided to abide by it in the first place. On the other hand, it would have imposed major burdens on law-abiding citizens who would have gone through that process. And really what it comes down to is people not doing that analysis.
And I'm not sure if it's lazy thinking or it's just a part of the culture war of we want to do this to those people. Because gun owners are viewed by many on the left and many of the elites as those people, somehow a sub-classification of human, and we need to control them. And the first thing we're going to have to do is control them by taking away their firearms because they're just dangerous. Hey, look, Amy, tell people how they can keep up with what you're writing about.
Absolutely. So you can either follow me on Twitter at Amy Swearer, or you can find me at heritage.org or theDailySignal.com.
Yeah, and that's Swearer, Amy Swearer. Thank you so much. And look, keep doing that. We're going to get you back on here, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
For 25 years, Crimson Trace has led the industry in laser and light technology and customer service. Now, Crimson Trace is proud to offer electronic sights and rifle scopes for tactical, target, and hunting applications, with the same Crimson Trace offer of free batteries for life on all products. The new rifle scope line is also backed by an unconditional lifetime warranty from the brand that you have trusted for over 2 decades. Find out more at crimsontrace.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
It's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. I'm Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. When someone says we don't need that kind of gun, remind them the Founding Fathers determined what rights our Constitution should protect. There's a world of difference between rights and needs. It is not the function of government to tell us what we need or what we don't. Certainly no one needs an assault rifle or a Saturday night special, or for that matter, no one needs a Corvette with a high-capacity horsepower engine capable of speeds to 150 miles per hour. But in the hands of honest, responsible individuals, we have the right of choice. We have the right to read books others don't like. We have the right to listen to any radio program we choose. We have the right to dress the way we want to. We also have the right to own firearms of our choice. So the next time someone tells you, you don't need something, tell them it's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. Join the Second Amendment Foundation today so that this message and our Bill of Rights might live. Call 425-454-7012. That's 425-454-7012.
Tired of searching the web for the best deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today for deals and discounts right at your fingertips. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, optics, lasers, gun safes, targets, gun cleaners, grips, slings, and much, much more. Save money on products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gun Dealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Introducing the all-new St. Victor from Springfield Armory. Our versatile line of battle-ready configurations designed for serious shooters and built on the rock-solid St. platform for unwavering reliability. Available in carbine-length rifle, SBR, and pistol configurations, each St. Victor is purpose-built and loaded with features to deliver ultimate performance under extreme conditions. The all-new St. Victor from Springfield Armory. Never a victim. Always the victor.
Well, got on a run this week. Bought 2 different rifles. One new, one used. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. First, I do want to talk about this. This was just popped up in the news out of Arlington, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Sad story, but it's also one of those, we talk about that famous video of the DEA agent who said, "I'm the only one in this room qualified to have a Glock 40. And then just as he finishes the statement, he shoots himself in the foot, literally, not figuratively, puts a bullet in his foot. So we came up with the term "the only one," so we got another one. This is tragic. In Arlington, a new police officer is called on a welfare check for this woman. She's the daughter of the fire chief. She had, according to the story, she had passed out. They're checking on her. And now we have the body cam footage to see. So we see exactly what happened. Officer's walking up. He sees her. He says, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And she says, "Yeah, I'm okay." And this woman, I guess it's the woman's dog, starts barking at the officer and then starts running toward him. And this guy, in my view, panics. Officer starts backing up, pulls his gun, starts shooting at this dog as it's running at him. Fires 3 shots. At least one of the shots hits this woman, killed her. He's shooting at the dog, and he hits this woman and kills her. Of course, the stories say he accidentally kills her. No, it's nothing accidental about it. It's pure negligence. Rule number 4. 4 rules of gun safety. And they apply no matter what. If you're in a gunfight, at the range, when you're handling guns at your house, it doesn't matter. Rule number 4, know your target and what's behind it. You are responsible for everything that every single one of your bullets does. Everything it hits, you're responsible for it. Shooting at a dog that's running at you when you know there's a woman back there. And I know the legal experts will go over it, and it won't take long before the department says, "Well, we understand, and it was just a terrible accident." No. It's incompetence. It's negligence. You can borrow from this. Put that thought into your head. You are responsible for every bullet you fire, even in the middle of a gunfight, even in an active shooter situation. You don't get to spray. Bad guys spray. We don't get to do that. Which brings me back to these events in El Paso and Dayton. In Dayton, it was 1 minute. The police shot this guy, killed him in 1 minute. But in 1 minute, he killed 9 people. You're there. You got to act. There's no fooling around. You got to get your gun out. You got to get it in gear. Can you make the shot? Can you make the shot? Can you do what you need to do? I don't know the answer. And the only way you're going to know the answer is to go get tested, to get the training and find out. Get to a range, find out if you can do it. If you can't, get more training. Training means classes. It's not practice, it's actually classes. 866-TALK-GUN. How have these shootings affected you? Has it changed your thinking? Talk-Gun, get you in here. Paul has called in from Oklahoma on 2. Hello, Paul. You're on Gun Talk.
I just want to remind everybody that there are other organizations. One of the ones that you mentioned is the Second Amendment Foundation. And I joined that last week for 5 years for $50, and then I got a note that says that's tax deductible.
Aha.
And
Even
if
better.
anybody, wants to remind people of that. And then there's also the Jews for the Preservation of Firearm Ownership, and that's also a tax-deductible foundation.
Right.
And then there's Gun Owners of America.
Right.
And I had a NRA lady call me a couple of weeks ago, and I told her, I'm sorry, I'm not going to send any money until you guys get this mess all straightened out.
Ooh. So, what'd you say?
She just said, well, thank you. I think it was one of these people that get paid to call for the NRA. She just said, well, thank you, I appreciate it. And
she's a fundraiser. I get that. I would also mention another one that you might take a look at. It's a newer group called the Firearms Policy Coalition, firearmspolicy.org. They're doing a lot of stuff in California, but they're actually doing things kind of moving out to the national level, and so they're pretty interesting. And, of course, the other one, and I mean, I know you know this, Paul, is everybody needs to know who their state group is and get involved. And usually state groups are like incredibly cheap to help out. It's usually like $10 to $25 a year to belong, and then you can make donations. But that's in many cases, that's where you stop some of this nonsense, these red flag laws and that type of thing. If you can stop them in your legislature, that's really key.
We've got a real good OK2A is a gentleman by the name of Don Spencer is very active. He's down at the Capitol all the time. He got our constitutional carry passed, which is going into effect November 1st. So, very active person.
It occurs to me, and I actually don't know how to say this without it sounding mean or condescending or whatever, but you know what? Just being uninformed is no longer acceptable. People who say, well, I don't really know what my state group is. Well, that's your fault. It's not up to them to come find you. It's up to you to go find them. I mean, I don't know. Paul, sometimes I get frustrated when I talk to gun owners and they're going, well, I don't really know, or I'm not really, going, I just want to go, what are you thinking? Don't you understand they're coming over the wall? They're doing this stuff right now. They absolutely will. It's not that they want to. They absolutely will come to your door and take your guns away from you. What are you thinking?
Exactly. Yeah, you've given me a lot of good advice through the years. My wife and I met you at the NRA convention, really enjoyed that. So,
well, I appreciate you coming by. It's like, and you know how it is at the NRA. You got so many people flying by, you're not even sure who you've met, but I'm glad you were there. Paul, thank you for the call. I appreciate that, sir. Yeah, we each have to take responsibility for our own safety, for our own protection, and also for standing up for the Second Amendment. And it's not hyperbole to say they will come to your door and take your guns. They already have. They've already done that in a number of places. They're using the red flag laws. Your neighbor can turn you in. Well, he said something mean to me. He made a threat to me. Boom, here come the cops. Katrina, New Orleans, door to door, taking all the guns. When the mayor says there will not be a single gun left in this town other than what the police have. We're going to take them all. Then later on, he says, we never did that. And then, of course, we found the warehouse where he had stashed all the guns. You go, oh, God, how in the world did those guns all get in there? Yeah, because you ordered the police to go take them, to go door to door, to knock people down, to wrench the guns out of their hands, and to take them away from them. They not only will they do that, they have done that. They are doing that. Don't think that it's not happening. And it'll continue to happen if you don't get involved. Not me, not NRA, not anybody else, you. Simple as that. Hey, Bob Lee Swagger is back. We'll be talking about that with the author of the latest Bob the Nailer book when we come back. Our number here, 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham, and this is Gun Talk.